Hello everybody, welcome to my combat guide for Heroes Hour. I'm Icon, and in this video I'm going to introduce 7 tips, tricks and strategies to improve your combat. As usual, there are timestamps in the description box below, so if you're looking for a specific topic, you'll find it there. So let's get started with the first one. It's a very simple one, and it's so important that I put it on the first part of this video. So it's simple. Build infirmaries and hospitals. They are super effective and unique to this game. Simply said, whenever a combat happens, wherever it happens, 50% of the losses get resurrected in the closest town with a hospital or infirmary. And 50% is only the starting value. You can pump it up even higher there with skills, artifacts, and whatnot. So all in all, rushing infirmaries is really vital, because from that point on, you'll get so much more for your money and you'll get to reuse your armies much more decently. Another cool thing to know is if your troops are back at town, for example here, you don't need to send your hero back to town. You can just press the arrow here and your army is dislodged and can travel on its own. So you don't need to have complicated logistics things. You can just send the armies after your hero and fuse them together there. Really powerful stuff, very simple to pull off, and very easy to overlook in my humble opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about is use those advantage meters accordingly. What do I mean with that? Whenever you hover over a fight, you see how easy or hard the game considers this fight to be. Ranges from easy to impossible. A really easy rule of thumb is, for me, whenever a fight is flagged as more than easy on the overworld map, I don't even bother with it. Unless I know my hero and my army well. Certain heroes, as soon as they have a couple of spells and a couple of army powerful units, can easily overwhelm something with a higher difficulty. But especially at the beginning of the game, the more overwhelming force you put up on top of your enemy, the lower your losses and the easier it is to snowball on top of your enemy. The only points where I differ from my rule of thumb is AI enemies, conquering cities, or anything that I really need. For example, I don't know, a resource mine because I don't have any, or a really tasty artifact or whatever. If it's something that you really want to have, it's of course worth taking a risk. But otherwise, I make the experience that it's really always worth waiting for a bigger army rather than taking unnecessary losses because you wanted to put up a epic fight. Like I said, when it's against computer enemies or such, losses are totally okay and should be involved, because that's how you win the game, you know. Alright, that's all I want to say about these advantage meters. They are pretty useful, and if you use them accordingly, you can pretty much navigate yourself through the combat quite decently. The next thing on the list is use your magic and your hero skills often and as much as possible. Every hero has access to either spells or hero skills. For example, here the Goblin hero has the Might, and the Might unlocks unique spells for his roster. These things are more often enough so powerful that you can easily topple enemies that are stronger than you. But you really should practice it and train it before you go crazy into a super strong enemy. My personal favorite strategies are the disabling ones, so spells that disable your enemy, like Hypnotize, making them move aimlessly for a while, Berserk, turning them against each other, or smaller versions of that, like slowing them, cursing them, whatever. I made super good experiences with that, because whenever you use these spells a lot, the chances are higher that your losses are diminishing vastly. There's of course other methods like summoning units to keep the enemy distracted and using direct damage spells, whatever. Explore your faction's options and your hero's options and use them as much as possible, because it's oh so much worth it. Now, with that out of the way, next point on my list is set up your army fitting to your hero. That's a pretty complicated part-ish. There's no rule of thumb, there's no general thing that I can say other than check out your skill tree of your hero and think about which units are fitting to that. For example, this dude here excels at unit creation. He's creating his own units, he's summoning while he's in combat, after combat, and he's also really good at ranged units. So what I did there for his army was mostly hiring ranged units at my town, relying on one or two different types of frontliners that do the job while I pelt away with my archers. Every hero has other specializations. For example, this dude here has the Legion trait, which makes small units a lot more powerful. So it might be already a hint that this dude with a extremely high-powered Legion skill might be featuring goblins from hell. There's a lot of things that you can discover and think about, and I really recommend you to try around, experiment around, and try to mold your army to your hero's skills, and you will find a lot more impact. Although this is a long-term thing, because there's just so much variance there that it's hard to set up a ground rule for that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is building up your troop roster as quick as possible is a really, really vital part. This has nothing to do with combat directly. You just get to the point where you can overwhelm your enemy quite easily as long as you focus building these troop buildings as quick as possible, build those forts and strongholds as quick as possible, and pump up your creature production as quick as you can. Simply said, every creature that's sitting in town that can't be hired because you're broke is okay. It's waiting for you until you can. And therefore, the quicker you have these buildings up, the more power you have in your roster, and that's most of the time a good thing. So this leads you to a playstyle where you should be aiming to pilfer as many resources as quick as possible, and whenever you can, build those buildings to get more troops. It's really that important. There's also a lot of buildings on the map, like here, the guard post featuring 3 units from other factions. There's a lot of these, and they are all worth checking out. So I can't really, or I don't really want to put up any general strategies there, because every faction is different. You should always consider for yourself what you do there first, which units you want to upgrade first, but it's pretty interlinked with the point that I mentioned before. You want to put up an army that fits to your hero as quick as possible, and that's pretty much it. But forcing the building of these structures as quick as possible is one foolproof way to improve your combat performance without being a better general at all. So the next thing that I want to mention, which goes pretty much into the same niche as we were before, is use free troops as much as possible. Free troops, what do I mean with that? Free troops are spawning from hero skills, like here, Mercurial. This dude eats up 1 unit of Mercury per turn and creates units out of that. He's also creating units after combat. He's also creating free units per day. There's tons of different mechanics in this game that provide you exactly this. For example, the sorcerers here have access to free units via the Ether Forge. Every faction has a way to put up free units and use them as much as possible, because, you know, they are the perfect cannon fodder. Free units are what you want to put up the first round of your combat, because you didn't put up money for them. 50% or more get resurrected by the Infirmaries anyway, so they are really important and really, really powerful for you. And check them out. Whatever faction you play, you have access to something, and not using it is cutting you off from a nice reinforcement of your army. And now to the last part of my list, and as you see here, not a single tip involved getting better at the battlefield, except for the magic and the hero skills. The last one is keep your armies reinforced as much as possible. This means use those convoys that you can send over the map as much as possible. Try to use, for example, the town portal spell smartly. So here, the town portal spell allows you to travel to one of your cities of your choice every 7 days. It's really important that you think about how to reinforce your armies before it's too late. Every new sector that you conquer should have a new hero, a new army, a new logistics spot where you think about how to get your armies to your most powerful dude again. Because otherwise, if you don't respect reinforcements and logistics, the AI will swarm your freshly conquered stuff and grab it all back. You'll not get to keep anything if you don't. So as you see here, I have 2 heroes here. I've put up even a new army there because I've conquered that. And this is also something which really helps you a ton. Whenever you go to a new sector, make sure that the sector behind you is somewhat safe, because the AI will fall into your back ruthlessly. And keep your main heroes supplied by sending either armies after him or sending him to the armies via town portal. That's all I can say. These are the most basic combat tips. I am working on another video which features more tips and tricks that are in the real-time combat, but I haven't made up enough material yet to fill an entire video, so I wanted to put up these strategical tips in this video, and I hope they helped you out. So drop me your comments down below, leave any other helpful idea that you have, or whatever's up in your mind. I love to hear from you guys. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing. There's daily content coming up from my side, and I also stream, so check out my Twitch channel. I'd love to see you guys there as well. So have a good one, and bye bye.